Why your setback is your future come up. Your future self will appreciate you developing emotional intelligence today. When things don't go your way or the way you expect them to go, do you feel stuck? Or do you ignore what you feel and just push on through? You get over it, right? You passed it, you move past it, or you just act like what you feel doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Well, we all experience life's ups and downs. It's inevitable. And the ups feel good, and the downs, they could put us in emotional turmoil. So sometimes the downs impact us in ways that we don't even expect. Their ramifications last much longer than they should because we fail to recognize what they do to us. Well, sophisticates, I welcome you to this episode of Brains and Baubles. I'm davinadandrige, and this is your haven for emotional empowerment and sophisticated living because it all ties together. If you are powered emotionally, your life can't help but elevate. It can't help but be sophisticated. You can't help but change yourself into a person that is knowledgeable, a person that is has an idea of what they want and how to go get it, right? So today, we're delving into the maze of life's transitions and how emotional intelligence can guide us through. I mean, there are ups and downs, there are varied paths, there are all these things that come in our way that seem to derail us from the path that we're going. Well, I'm going to tell you and show you how you cannot let your emotions tie up your future. So maybe you aren't in the place that you think you should be at this point in your life. I mean, we all have certain dreams and expectations that may or may not been fulfilled, and maybe it's because we didn't even try. Or maybe you're someone who has been in love or trusted someone, and then you've been disappointed because that person did something, they misused you, or they just weren't who they said they were going to be. And maybe it's the thing about finances. And see, I know about that. As a person who has tried different things and tried to think outside of the box and hasn't taken the traditional route, finances can be an issue sometimes. And it's not all bad, but it's sometimes not all good, because when your finances are hit, you don't quite live the life that you desire for yourself or live the life that you intend for your family, or you think that something isn't available to you. But let me tell you, that's just right now. Okay. So, how you deal with emotions and what's happening during the ups and downs of life matter to your future self. The way that we think and how we harness these emotions are so important to where we're going to go in the future. Because if we're stuck in toxic environments, if we're stuck in poor ways of thinking about ourselves, there's no way that this is going to change for the future. Because what's required is contemplation, self assessment or self awareness, and then making a plan to become an emotional responder instead of a triggered person. I mean, listen, I understand that when you're dealing with things that impact your life greatly, and especially if it's going to have ramifications for your family, you can't help but have your emotions all over the place. But what I'm expressing to you is that there is a way that you can let those emotional triggers be the beacon for what you need to do to alter your future. And it sounds crazy, but I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how we can do it. Life's transitions are inevitable. They are the threads weaving our life's tapestry. So we need these ups and downs. How we navigate them can profoundly impact our emotional well being. And that's so important. These experiences that we think are bad or they think that are unfavorable, right? They make up who we are. They make up the basis for our core selves. And how we respond is definitely important to where we're going. Because we experience something bad doesn't mean that it has to remain bad. Anything that happens to us is a good side and there's a bad side. So we choose how we look at something. It's our perception of something. So if there's something that's bad that happens to us, we can turn that around. We can reroute the ship. We can do something in for ourselves that make this not bad, but good for our future. Because wisdom comes from successfully navigating life situations. All right, so let me just jump to it. One of the first things you have to do is to accept and adapt to change. Change is inevitable, and you don't have to initiate the change for change to happen. So let's talk about accepting and adapting to this change. What does that really mean? Did you know that a staggering 70% of change efforts fail due to resistance and lack of emotional intelligence? So even when you're trying to make positive changes in your own life, if you are not emotionally intelligent, if you don't have all of the emotional tools that you need to navigate these ups and downs, then 70% of people fail. It's because they have failed with working on themselves first. I mean, we have to be that person for other people. So we have to work on ourselves for ourselves. Okay? Change is constant, it's always going to happen. And embracing it as a natural part of life is critical. So, I mean, it sounds like a good thing. Okay, so you have to introspect, you have to do self-care, you have to have self-awareness. This is so very true and crucial. If we just go with the flow and don't address our emotions, then we get ourselves in even worse situations. If you're the type of person that when something happens to you, you fly off the handle, then your mouth might write a check your behind can't cash. And then what I mean by that, you might escalate a problem that could have been diffused because you haven't handled that emotion. You know what triggers you. It's self awareness that allows you to pinpoint those triggers so that you can make a plan to address them when they come again, which they will because life is going to happen to us. We are involved with people. People change day to day. People impact us in many ways. So, being adept and being flexible all starts with self awareness. Focusing on what you can control empowers you. So you can control your emotions. You can control how you respond to things, right? So, as writer Alan Watts once said, the only way to make sense out of the change is to plunge right into it, move with it, and join the dance. So don't be resistant to change because you don't have a choice. Okay. So don't be resistant, embrace it. And being an emotional planner will enable you to create and curate the future that you desire because it's all involved in emotions. How you see yourself right now is based on emotions that you've had, and how you see yourself in the future is based on the emotions that you have right now. So it's important that we harness our emotions, meaning that we recognize them and develop them to be favorable for our future selves. All right, that's kind of deep, but I'll share more about that later on. But here's the second thing that you need to do to navigate yourself during life's ups and downs is to develop coping strategies. So becoming an emotional planner is about strategy. Okay. So, what are those strategies during life's transitions? Well, I'm going to tell you. The first one is practice getting centered. You know, when things happen, we just go with our knee jerk response. We have that emotion. And, you know, it's not good to just fly off like that. You have to learn to center yourself. You've come through things before. I mean, if you think back to high school or, oh, even better, elementary school, where you thought someone gossiped about you, or you thought that someone was going to confront you because somebody said you said something, or you liked somebody else's boyfriend, you know how that thing goes. You think that that is the end of the world. Like, oh my God, if I have to fight Rebecca after school, it's going to be a shame. Or if my parents find this out, it's the end of my life. Or if I don't pass this test, or if whatever happened, this is the end of the world. Well, let me tell you, that was just based on what you knew at that time. And that was based on an emotion that you felt at that moment. But if you know that change is always going to happen, when you have an emotion that triggers you to a certain behavior, that's the emotion that you need to address with a plan. And being centered means that instead of you just going into that emotion, you pause. You use the self gut check to decide what your next step is going to be. And if it matters well, it does matter, but since it matters how you respond at that very moment, you need to take that half a beat to determine what to do next. So being centered and not just rolling with the first emotion that you feel is the way that you are going to protect your future self. Okay. Another thing that you can do is practice meditation. So, when I talk about self awareness and contemplation, it's not just examining what you do well or what you do bad. It is looking at to yourself and making a connection with God. It is making a plan to be a better person for you internally, not what you say to other people or how other people receive you, how you see yourself. And a lot of times you don't take the moments to do that. We're so involved with either keeping up appearances or handling all of the things that we have to handle or just coping. Sometimes it is just coping that we don't take time to really examine what we want out of life and what would make us feel better and work on being a better person for ourselves. Okay. But meditation and being centered helps us cope in moments of stress, right in the middle. So there are things that you can do. These practices ground us. They offer peace when we feel overwhelmed. And that's exactly what we need. They become our guiding light in the chaos of transitions. And we're all going in transitions. We're transitioning from being a person at work that does all the busy work, but now you're getting promoted and now you're transitioning into a big picture thinker. Or maybe you're transitioning because now you have your son or daughter is going off to college. And so now you don't have those daily duties that you used to have. You need to transition into the person who has more time and really contemplate what that looks like for you and what that will do for yourself in the future. Okay. Third, seek support and connection. I can't tell you how valuable it is to have the right people around you, the right people supporting you, and the right people that you can confide in. So, seeking support and connection is vital. When navigating life's transition, we lean on our support network and they provide guidance and comfort. And you have to be very selective about who is in this circle. And it may not be the people that have always been there. It may not even be the people that are in there right now. See, we operate about what we're feeling right now. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. What you're feeling right now, it matters, but it matters to the you next month, next year, 5 years, 10 years from now. The feelings and emotions and the way that you handle things and how you operate, it matters for your future person. So when you are going through something that's traumatic, or you're just going through something that's uncomfortable and you need to talk it out with somebody, you don't want to just talk it out with somebody who's going to make your emotions feel even worse. You want to talk it out with someone who can give you an ear, who can support you, and who could possibly offer you information that can help you. But you have to know who the people are that you have in your circle, these people that you're going to lean on, your accountability partners, your confidants. So studies show that social support is a game changer during life's transitions. It bolsters our emotional resilience and help us to emerge stronger. I tell you, even through the process of me with my business, going from being a professor who talks about emotional intelligence in her classrooms to an author who's written a book about it to developing many means to share emotional intelligence and sophisticated emotional empowerment with other people has changed my life. And it's because I have navigated the ups and downs, the roller coaster of navigating my personal life with my family, with my professional life, and with my own personal fulfillment with writing and sharing this information with people. So it hasn't been easy. There have been moments where I had to sit back and say, like, look, is this really what I want to do? Is this really going to work? But the thing about it is, it built resilience because I could look back and say, oh, well, you know what? I did that. I overcame that. I said I wanted to work in an environment where I could work at home and I could have my time to myself. And I did that. And it wasn't always easy, but I gained resilience because I learned that I can do things. I can overcome things. I can move the needle. And it's because of the work that I've done within myself and planning for my future self. I couldn't let my emotions at that time derail me or get me stuck. Now, that's not to say I've never been stuck or derailed, but what I'm saying is, over time, I've gained wisdom on how to navigate these circumstances. And I've taken time, that is, to really look introspectively and decide, how do I handle this situation if it comes up again? And who am I in this situation? Am I a person who is taking ownership of where I am and my contribution to where I am at this point in my life? And then what do I need to do to maximize the use of my emotions so that my future self will benefit from it? Ugh, yes. So, sophisticates, remember, life transitions can be our greatest teachers. If you found value in today's discussion, hit the subscribe button below for more insightful content on emotional intelligence and sophisticated empowerment. And if you're seeking a comprehensive guide on navigating life's transitions with emotional intelligence, listen, I have something for you. Consider enrolling in my Sophisticated Empowerment course, your journey towards resilience and growth to be the person who can do the things that you desire to do and become your future best self begins right now.